Greetings, everyone, and welcome to a very special online event today. It's called Alleviate Stress and Anxiety Through the Wisdom of the Body, Somatic Awareness and Soul Embodiment Techniques for Gaining Resilience in Challenging Times. My name is Stephen Dyna. I'm the founder and president of the Shift Network, and I'm really thrilled to be with you here, partially because we get to dive in with one of my favorite somatic teachers. Her name is Suzanne Scurlock. She's a conscious awareness instructor. She's taught numerous programs for Shift, and she really is a pioneer in the field of conscious embodiment and how that can really lead to extraordinary benefits for our lives. And we'll focus today particularly around stress and anxiety, but there's a lot of different dimensions to activating and accessing the wisdom of the body that we'll also have a chance to go much deeper in a brand new upcoming program with her that we're excited to share about more towards the end of the hour. So more to come with Suzanne. So Suzanne, thank you so much for joining us here today.
Thank you, Stephen. It's my pleasure to be here with you.
Great. Well, let's dive in. And I always find it's good to have a little bit of context before we go to the teachings, really about your journey and why you've really dedicated so much of your life to understanding the body and eliciting deeper body wisdom for how do we navigate life.
Well, I think that my own journey began most abruptly when I was 17 and I went through a very traumatic experience of being throttled by someone. And the weird part about the whole confrontation was that in my gut, I knew something was wrong for about 25 minutes before the event actually happened. And in the aftermath, once the shock wore off and once I got some level of equilibrium back, what I began to recognize at that moment was that my gut, my own inner wisdom, knew something was off in a way that my brain didn't know, my heart didn't know, but my gut had a very clear instinct that I was in danger. And yet I talked myself out of it and almost died in the process. But that began a lifelong journey toward healing things in the body where there is trauma, but also listening to the wisdom of the body and learning different practices that helped me to drop more deeply inside into my own wisdom.
It's definitely a dramatic entry into this world of body wisdom, but maybe you could share a little bit about what you've learned about how different areas of the body have a different kind of intelligence, and that we really start to turn the body into an ally in different ways, whole new realms of wisdom open up.
Yeah, absolutely. So the gut and gut instincts are something that most people can understand to a certain degree, whether you're a Navy SEAL. I once had a commander in the Navy SEALs tell me when he was listening to one of my presentations, we teach that to our SEALs. And if you don't have it, you're not going to make it through the training. So there's certain things like gut instincts that people understand of all walks in life. The wisdom of the heart is one that most people can relate to at some level. We know about the heart's inspiration and how it can help us to find meaning and find joy and find what's ours to do in the world. That's always a wonderful piece when people drop in there. The pelvis is another area that I had a pretty severe injury to in my first delivery. And I spent years researching and looking at and then healing my own pelvis and recognizing that my energy returned, wow, just tenfold as I healed my pelvis and came more into what I call the engine of the body. And then the bones, deep in our bones, there's a clarity and steadiness that comes with being able to drop deep inside. Legs and feet, they offer us the possibility to take action and be grounded and steady in the world. And then, of course, we have this brain that we all mostly live from that runs the show in old world thinking, but in fact is only a member of all of the wisdom areas of the body, the whole Knights Round Table, so to speak. But the prefrontal cortex and the ability to think creatively is a huge asset in today's world. One of the things I really want to talk about in this hour with you is how much stress and anxiety is all around us right now. Whether you are, we're looking now at how young people have more depression, more anxiety. They're having a lot more issues coming up earlier in life. We're looking at the number of autoimmune conditions, chronic illnesses in midlife, all kinds of different things that are actually the outcome of having stress and tension in our environment that sucks us out and into having a nervous system that's overfiring all the time. It is a tough one because there's so much coming at us all the time in our world. Unless you know how to drop deep inside, it is difficult to learn how to navigate in a healthy way. So in this hour, I really want, this whole workshop is learning how to calm and regulate your nervous system so that we're alleviating anxiety and building a buffer or a healthy boundary between you and the stress and tension of the world today.
Right. Well, I think that's a really important focus, especially given the escalation of intensity in the outer world with political cycles, all sorts of drama, harsh weather. There's a lot that keeps escalating. So this building of inner capacity is even more important every year. So I'd love for you to share a little bit of context of what happens in your body and under that kind of overwhelm or stress reaction, and then how do we start to mitigate that and reverse it and open to a deeper calm and presence.
Well, one of the things that I do see is that many, many people put most of their focus outside. They live in their brains. They've kind of lost whatever's going on consciously in their body. And the brain takes over. And also we are, in a way, kind of sucked into the environment because there's so much going on and so much we're being bombarded by things. And from what the media pushes at us to the pace of life that we go at, many, many things are conspiring, if you will, to cause our nervous systems to overfire, not firing at the level they should be, but actually overfiring. And when that occurs in psychotherapy, they call it having an upregulated nervous system. And it's exhausting to the physical body. And when we have that level of too much in our systems, it literally depletes your resilience. It leaves you exhausted. I find myself, I get irritable when I'm too tired. And I may go through the day doing so much that I don't even recognize the amount of upregulation my nervous system is dealing with in any given moment. I had a friend who had a minor fender bender last week or 2 weeks ago, and yet in the aftermath of it, he was noticing with that one, thank goodness he wasn't harmed, but in that one trauma, what happened, he said, I'm just noticing that I'm much more alert right now. And I said, that's not really a good thing. When you have a trauma, the nervous system is meant to respond to it, get through it, and be able to downregulate again. For us in today's world, often we never get, and we don't have the tools and we don't have the time to downregulate and to allow ourselves to come in deep into our own inner oasis that feeds our resilience. And so we're really going to be coming to a process today with you that I'm looking forward to. It's a very simple and yet profound breathing practice that cuts to the chase and allows each one of us to slow down, sink in, and allows our awareness to go from being scattered all over the map to being dropped deep inside again into a place of calm. And I call it our inner oasis. But that place of calm is a really important one for the nervous system to reset itself, so it isn't constantly running too fast, too much, and too externally focused.
So you mentioned a little bit about what are the signs that people aren't always aware that they're upregulated like that and they might need to downregulate. What are some of the other things that you might notice about your awareness or presence that are signals that you're in a kind of state of constant upregulation?
You know, one of the things that begins to occur is that people lose their creativity, that they want to do things exactly the way they've always done it. Don't ask me to do something anymore. Don't ask me to think about things or widen my lens and be creative in what I'm doing. I just have to get through the day. So there's a level of narrowing of focus that occurs when the nervous system is upregulated. So you lose creativity. There is a level of tension that goes on that is very, very difficult sometimes to even feel because it becomes the norm in your system. You're simply moving at that pace, in that way, with no real understanding of what's happening in your body or how it is causing your system to be depleted. It's almost like you're draining out the resilience. And when you get to rock bottom, that's when people have screaming fights with each other, people we love, and it's interesting because when I teach, I always say, what is the witching hour for couples? Somewhere about 5 p.m. in the afternoon. You might have been great with each other in the morning. All the way through the day, you were doing pretty well, but slowly the world is coming in on you. And then suddenly, by the time you get home and you're hungry, your blood sugar low, and your resilience is gone, now everybody's irritable. So all of these kinds of things are the kinds of things that would tell you that your system is emptying out and you need to do something to slow it down, help everything reboot, if you will, and come back, refill at your own inner oasis, and allow you to step back into your life with that cushion, with that buffer, a healthy boundary between you and the tension that's there in the world right now. It's everywhere. As you said, it's weather, it's politics, it's the pace our job pushes us at, the amount of hours we work, the lack of connectivity that we've just come out of with the pandemic. All of these things drain and cause the nervous system to be depleted, if you will.
So when we move into the downregulation or the restoration mode, what's happening in our nervous system beneath that?
Well, what happens with the nervous system when we downregulate is that it metaphorically starts to slow down. When you're working with a lot of the different practices that I've taught for years, it enables you to begin to refill. Like you slow down, you begin to get a sense of what you need internally. You begin to actually recognize and have present moment awareness of how you are actually doing. And in that moment, you can begin to ask yourself, what do I need? And when you can hear your own inner wisdom telling you, you can begin to act and take actions that are on your behalf. It's like it gives you back your agency, your own ability to act rather than react in your world. So there's a way in which we're taking our awareness from the outside back in. And then we're beginning to do practices like the breath we're going to be working with a little later that enable everything to slow down. With that comes awareness. With awareness comes the solutions that the inner wisdom of your body will offer you. And with that, we begin to do this wonderful refilling that is so sweet when you feel it inside yourself. Oh, okay. Oh, okay, I'm home. Thanks. I needed that.
So what's the role of our sensory awareness in that process of coming home?
Well, sensory awareness is that core, primary, basic sense of where you are in space, whether you are fully inhabiting who you are at a soul level, I call that soul embodiment, whether you're actually internally embodying, or whether you're acting only out of your thoughts. Or I'll give you a fun example. When I was writing my last book, and I'm writing, by the way, about soul embodiment, right? And I would find myself typing away on my computer, and suddenly I would recognize that part of me was forward, actually in the computer screen, looking at the words and on the keyboard, and I wasn't feeling my backbone anymore, or my ribs. And then my back would start to ache, but I couldn't feel it initially because I wasn't present. I didn't have any sensory awareness. And of course, doing what I do when I would take a break and slow down and, oh boy, ooh, yeah, oh, my back needs something. Did I not? I might have needed a hot herbal wrap or for my partner to massage my shoulders or whatever it was. But by bringing my sensory awareness back in to my body, the body tells you what it needs, and it helps guide you in moment to moment awareness of where you belong at a soul level, what's yours to do. And that's a very empowering thing to have that knowledge.
So you dropped the term in there of soul embodiment. I'd love for you to just build on that a little bit. How does this work of restabilizing your nervous system connect to soul embodiment?
Well, I think that soul embodiment is what we're reaching for. It's the direction we're heading all the time. So we're that we all are here and we have a soul and it embodies when we're born or perhaps before. That's a level of we don't know when it does. But when we are born and we're here in this physical body, our soul is the energy that fills us and animates us in each moment and that leads us forward to do what we came here to do on the planet this time around. So the soul embodiment is the direction we're always headed in. I love it when I sink back into myself and I feel what I'm inspired to do at a heart level, and I know that my soul, what I came to do here, is moving me forward in my life in a direction that is actually life enhancing, life giving, as opposed to what happens when we get all our attention or a lot of our attention outside of ourselves in the world around us, being pulled and tugged by the tensions and stresses of life. And those things, if we do them without paying attention internally, it's very, very draining on the nervous system, on who we are at a soul level.
We've set a really great context and understanding for why the restabilization of our nervous system is so central to really just navigating life as well as the deeper mission of soul embodiment. So I think now would be a great time to actually lead folks in a practice to make it real.
Okay. Okay. So what I'm going to ask you to do, if you're watching and listening right now, is to make sure that everything's turned off around you. Your phone's not going to go off. You don't have a split screen and you're watching something else while you're trying to do this, but that you're actually going to be able to take just 10 minutes and pay complete attention as I guide you to your own inner oasis. Okay. So having gotten that in place, allow yourself to sit somewhere where your back is supported, where your bottoms of your feet are resting on the floor. And then very gently let your eyes close. And as they close, let your awareness begin to return inside into your inner landscape. And we do this most easily by noticing the sensations of breathing. So the temperature of the air as it comes in through your nostrils, travels through your sinuses, drops down into your lungs. And you can feel the rise and fall of your chest and your ribs as you breathe. Just paying attention to sensations. Good, good. And this particular breath that cuts through quickly, easily, and completely into your nervous system and helps open the door to a deeper level of calm is done through the nose, both nostrils, and allow your mouth to be relaxed but closed. So we'll be breathing in and out through your nose and noticing the sensations, noticing the temperature, noticing the colors that show up as you inhale and exhale through your nose. That is the first step. And you can do this breath at a pace that works for you, just a comfortable pace. And as you inhale and exhale, you may begin to notice more inside, and there may be places of tension, and you can just gently say to them, it's okay, you can let go. I just noticed that my right shoulder just relaxed as I was exhaling. So play with this as you're moving deeper and deeper into your internal landscape, noticing where things could be a little easier, a little lighter, a little more relaxed, and just inhaling and exhaling and letting go as you breathe. And you may be noticing that your breath is slowing down and deepening as you inhale and exhale. That's normal. Let it occur. And if it's not happening, you might ask your lungs whether it would like to breathe more deeply and slowly and see what happens. And now we're going to add one last step here, which is you're breathing at a pace that's comfortable for you. And as you inhale, allow yourself to do a little count. I notice that I inhale to about the count of 3. And then on the exhale, let yourself exhale just slightly longer than you inhale. Inhaling and exhaling just slightly more slowly than you inhale. And if at any time it starts to feel like you need to relax and yawn or take a normal breath, go ahead and do that. And then bring yourself back into this process when you're comfortable with it. Good, good. And if you noticed that both your inhale and exhale were slowing down, that's okay too. And as we continue, notice what it feels like to be you as you breathe in this manner, just gently, calmly, stopping and taking a normal breath when you need to, and returning to it when you can. Good, good. Yeah. And when you're ready, allow your awareness to return, let your eyes open, and rejoin us. Just drink us in on this call, if you will. And notice what it feels like to be you now. Yeah, it feels like to be you now.
Mhm.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely way more relaxed and feel
Hmm.
lower in my seat. Like I feel like my butt on the chair, and there's just a sense of kind of being down in the pelvic center of gravity more.
Yeah, thank you. Me too. And I was noticing that my breath got deeper and wider, and I wasn't even really thinking about doing that. You can also understand how a breath like this, just kind of a cut through right to the chase of anxiety, feeling of overwhelm sort of dissolves, and the chronic stress that tends to cloud our thinking dissipates. And it helps you to begin to return to your creative, energized state. Yeah.
How long of that practice do you recommend doing if you're interspersing it in your day when you notice you're upregulated?
I think that it can go anywhere from 3 minutes to about 10. And the longer you do it, the deeper you go, the farther back in your being you become. And interestingly enough, when you do this long enough, often I notice that my stressful thoughts dissolve. And all of a sudden, I'm having these creative thoughts just drop in. I wasn't even looking for them. And that's my signal that I have gotten down to my inner oasis and that I've drunk at the well, if you will, of my own inner oasis, and that my creativity is returning. Yeah,
Hmm.
nice feeling. It really is.
So it sounds like there's like a way in which creativity is literally sourcing out of that energy, that deeper
Yes.
energy, at least your experience.
Well, what begins to happen is we return to more of our full body presence and to that soul embodiment. And when that occurs, you have more access to your heart, to your gut, to your belly, to the depth of the bones of who we are, that inner temple, to our legs and feet, to our clear thinking.
Hmm.
All of those start to show up again when
Hmm.
we do a practice like this. And it's funny because when I teach it in my classes, I actually have to set a timer because when I go to practice it, I'll often find myself dropping so deeply inside. It's as though I get, I forget that I'm teaching a class and suddenly I'm sitting at my own inner oasis and just drinking deeply and enjoying and refilling. And nobody else in the room wants to return either, which is kind of fun. And, we have to go on with our lives. So I would suggest when you do this practice, whatever amount of time you have to in that moment, that you put a little timer on your phone with something gentle to bring you back when you know you have to get back into your day. Yeah.
Hmm. Once you've found that inner oasis, do you then also make a point of consulting with some of the other body intelligence and wisdom
Mhm.
centers as well?
It's interesting because I can do that, but I find that they just simply start to show up. So, if, for instance, I think of the heart as the home of our inspiration, we're going to talk about that a lot more a little bit later, but that deep inspiration for who we are at a soul level will start to show up. And I'll be thinking, oh, what's mine to do today? What should I do? I have this to do list and I have all this anxiety about getting everything done and pleasing everybody and doing everything that I need to. But at a soul level, what's mine to do. And I will suddenly have my heart show up and say to me, hey, slow down, Suzanne, slow down. You don't need to go this fast. And often the heart will start to say, you can let go of that and that and that. This is what's most important. And so that's a really interesting awareness to have. And I tend to run a little fast. As my friends will tell you, I get twice as much done as everybody else I know. And so I love having my heart show up and remind me that I don't have to do all those things on my to-do list, that I can sink in, drop back, and be with myself. Because that's when what's mine to do gets crystal clear. And I'm on my true path and not on the path of my to-do list. Yeah, does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Wonder if you can offer any insight into how to maintain or continue that deep oasis consciousness while you're then re-engaging the different tasks or business or outer world things.
Mm-hmm. So one of the things that I always say to people is the fastest and easiest way to have a healthy boundary or a buffer or a cushion between you and the tension and the stress in the world is to have a full container. You may notice right now with this practice that we just did that you're feeling more of your body. You might be feeling more of your legs and feet, your pelvis, your backbone against whatever you're sitting on, your heart, your pelvis, your hands and arms, your own neck and head. But you feel fuller. There's not so much of a sense of being empty. And when I stay resourced, when I stay full, I'm in my skin. I have a buffer. If something shows up in my world that's not mine to do, and maybe it's a little bit invasive, there's somebody here to say, not mine. You can go away now. So there's a way in which it helps to navigate through the world when your container stays full. So to begin with, many people may need to do this simple practice several times a day to bring them back down in, bring them back down in. And then they can notice as they fill up that they're interacting with the world in a different way, that the world feels different. That stressor that was about to blow me over 5 minutes ago now looks like something that I can just simply move out of the way and move on down my path. So what begins to happen is that the external world does not pull me out as much when I am resting deep inside, full and boundaried.
Yeah, I like that perspective because often I think when we try to set a boundary and without that sense of filling up from the inside, there can be like a more oppositional energy in it rather than sort of a just
Right.
clarity.
Well, right. And plus, it's work. I can remember one of my first teachers who wasn't very grounded saying, you just build a wall of white light around yourself. Well, how much energy does it take to build a wall of white light around yourself all the time when you're feeling stressed out? You're still empty inside and you're trying to use your energy to build a white wall around yourself. And it's like, I don't know that that's really the most efficient, effective way to have a boundary and to walk through the world doing what you came here to do and being who you are. And the other piece I think that comes into this, Stephen, is that many of us were taught to pay attention here to what we're thinking logically, rationally. Is it valid? Is whether it's logical and rational. But that, in a way, leaves behind all the wisdom that's from here down. And so in that, we can get caught and we literally can end up in these cycles in our head that are just and that's where anxiety grows, and then your heart starts to pound, and then your back gets tight, and now you're in a cycle where you definitely need to slow down, drop in, breathe again in a way that slows down the nervous system, calms the nervous system. Then that squirrel in the cage feeling, or the gerbil in the cage feeling in your head, can slow down as well and allows you to start to have some original thoughts rather than old, constant, past tense worries.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
it sounds like it's actually when you notice yourself getting knocked off kilter or stressed by something, it's actually a reminder in some ways that, oh, there's a part of you that needs to fill up. So it's almost
right.
like take it that way rather than like reacting to the stressor. It's more like, oh, that's pointing something out that isn't filled up inside in a way.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I love it because it's a signal when people say, well, I'm too stressed out to stop and do your breathing practice. Well, no, when you're stressed out, you need to do more of that breathing practice. But
Mhm.
getting to it and remembering it in that moment is the key. Absolutely.
Well, we just have now from the space of more oasis and calm. And what else were you wanting to share today?
I think that I would love to invite people to the workshop, the longer workshop that you and I are going to be putting together here
Right.
over the
Yeah, well, let's
next.
do that. Yeah, let's
Okay.
do that. So I'll just share a little bit about it first, and then we can dive in with you. So we're really blessed that Suzanne has agreed to teach this brand new program, which really is just good medicine for the moment we're in. It's called Creating Your Inner Sanctuary for Somatic Healing, Embodiment Techniques for Cultivating Harmony, Fulfillment, and Grounded Wisdom. You can find it at the URL wisdomofthebodycourse.com, wisdomofthebodycourse.com. Really builds on what we've been hearing today. It opens a deeper somatic intelligence, deeper healing, the calming and stilling, the more of the stressed mind, the sourcing your wisdom from your body. And we'll have Suzanne share more about this. But I really think this is good medicine for this moment as there's this ever increasing escalation of noise in the world. We need to become more resourced in order to navigate that with
Mhm.
clarity and wisdom and depth. So again, it's all going to be laid out in detail at wisdomofthebodycourse.com. But Suzanne, why don't you share first on a high level your intentions for what people come away from this program with, and then I'll read out the module titles so you can give us a little preview of what's coming.
What I want most from this workshop is for people to begin to navigate from a more downregulated, relaxed nervous system, from a full container of who they are, from a deeper sense of their soul's embodiment within their own being, so that we begin to do what we came here to do. I think I mentioned this a moment ago. At a soul level, this is so vital in today's world. And I think that, as you said, particularly today's world with the tension and stress that we currently have, it's not optional anymore. It's absolutely vital that people have the skill sets and the practices that we're going to unfold in these 7 weeks so that the world becomes a place to create as opposed to a place we're struggling to get through. And I think that's one of the most important things I want people to come away with.
Great. So module one is called Regulate Your Nervous System to Increase Your Energy, Better Clarify Your Purpose, and Understand Your Deeper Potential.
So in that particular module, I'm going to be showing the students the portals to calm in the body, if you will, how to step deeply into down-regulating the adrenaline cortisol levels in the body. And we'll be working with a somatic practice, we'll be working with an awareness practice, we'll be working with some external things you can use in your own life with yourself, just if you're by yourself, or with another person, if you have a partner and you want to practice these things together. So that first session is meant to reboot, and it's even more potent when it's used with the breath practice that we just did today. And we'll be bringing that in as we work with that first module. Once you're there, you can start to listen to what's yours to do, to the heart at a deeper level, and how to sit in your own inner oasis on a more practiced basis.
Module two, Develop Inner Strength and Resilience to Experience Greater Clarity and Calm Empowerment.
We're going to be working with listening to your inner awareness and how to work with who you are at that level so that you can drop deeper and deeper and deeper and get steadier and steadier as you drop deeper. How to be grounded, how to feel your bones, how to be in your own belly, gut, heart, all of those, and how your awareness informs you. We'll be going into that in a lot more depth in that second module.
Module three, Explore how awareness and curiosity fuel your spiritual awakening and self-empowerment and enhance problem solving.
So, one of the attributes of soul embodiment, as I call it, that is A really potent one is curiosity. And there's a lot of research that's been done on curiosity, but we're actually going to play in this module with how it helps you to reframe and open up what's going on in your world. Whether you're having relationship issues, whether you're having trouble in school, whether you're having problems at work, do you know how to turn on your creativity? Do you know how to step into it fully so that it reframes where you are in your world when you feel really charged and kind of ground down by what's going on? So the awareness that we've brought in the first two modules adds to the attribute of curiosity, and it opens up a whole new world for most of us when we can do this.
Module 4, transform limiting beliefs to regain trust in your instincts and ability to discern the truth.
This one is a very pivotal one for us in today's world where we have so much. I don't know, I don't want to say that AI is a bad thing because it's not, but there are many, many times where we are being fed information. And if we know how to listen internally, you know how to track and discern what's real and what's not real, what's actually happening here and what's not. You know when something's on and you know when it's off. So you know that you can trust your inner Geiger counter to tell you what's happening and what you can trust and where to move forward and when to hold back or move in a different direction. So this attribute of trust is very, very important for us navigating through the world at a deeper level.
Module 5, connect to your inner resources through 4 higher states of consciousness to heal and ignite healthy living.
In this one, I'm going to be calling in what I call the 4 attributes, states of consciousness, where we begin to recognize as human beings that we have the capacity to thrive, not just survive, but thrive. So we'll be calling in that physical primary sense of being supported, of being loved, of having an awareness of who we are at a deeper level, and also of being able to step into where you want to go in your world. So all of those we'll cover in that particular module.
Module 6, allow gratitude to blossom and reveal its deeper gifts, even during times of challenge and uncertainty.
You know, this particular practice that I'm going to teach in Module 6 comes out of many years of practices of gratitude, not in a superficial, let's just brush over what isn't working well and platitudes, no, but actual deep gratitude or open-heartedness, wholeheartedness is what keeps the planet moving, the energy of love. And when we have stressful times, to be able to access our wholeheartedness brings us back to our gratitude for who we are, for what we have, and where we want to go in the world. So that's what we'll be covering in that particular module.
And finally, Module 7, activate your internal GPS to remain focused and calm and stay on course with your deepest soul inspiration.
So in this one, we're going to pull together everything that you've learned in the prior 6 modules, and we'll be taking a walk through the body, through the 6 wisdom areas. So the wisdom of the heart, the wisdom of the gut, the wisdom of the pelvis, the wisdom of the legs and feet, the wisdom of your bones and of your brain. And we'll be calling in who you are and what you want in your soul today, in what you're doing in your world. And we'll be gathering everything you've learned and practicing them together. So you have a sense of how to thrive deeply and how to take your creativity into the world to do what you came here to do at a soul level.
Well, what a beautiful program. And as I said, it could not be more timely in terms of navigating the various things that are up in the world. So really it's such a great resource to be able to cultivate this deep inner calm and navigate with clarity and be living from a place of gratitude and inner resource through our lives. So again, though, there's more detail on each of the modules at wisdomofthebodycourse.com, wisdomofthebodycourse.com. And I'll just say a few other things about it. So not only do you get the live sessions, so it'll be 7 90-minute live sessions with Suzanne, which includes time to do interactive practices together, ask your questions live. You also get recordings for every session, both video and audio, which is a great way to go back and re-practice certain elements or relearn different teachings. And so you can really add it to your wisdom library for years to come. You'll have word-for-word transcripts to work with. There'll be weekly exercises and practices. There's a Facebook community to support you and deepen your experience. And on the page, you'll also see a number of great extra bonuses as well. There's a audio session with Suzanne from the Somatic Summit. It's called Listening to the 6 Wisdom Areas of the Body. We touched on some of that at the beginning, but there's just a whole profound body of work with Suzanne around each of these different wisdom areas of the body, having complementary intelligences to help empower you to live in a really grounded and body and soulful way. So that's an audio session. And there's also 2 articles by Suzanne called Portals to Calm and the Soul Embodiment System. You want to share a little bit more about those 2 articles that people get as well?
Yeah, actually, what they are is they'll give people a written context and background for a lot of what we're actually going to be covering in 2 different modules in the course itself. And we'll be looking at all of that and the background and how things work. And one of the things that I think I teach craniosacral therapy is something else that I do. And so the anatomy and the physiology of the body is a very important factor to me. So we'll be bringing that into each of the modules as we go so people can learn more about who they are and what they are at an anatomical level.
That's great. And there's one additional bonus I want to draw folks' attention to, which is your special bonus if you sign up right away by midnight Pacific time. This is a full audiobook by Suzanne called Reclaiming the Wisdom of Your Body. Suzanne, you want to share a little bit about that audiobook that folks get if they sign up today?
Well, the audiobook, Reclaiming Your Body, is about, goes in much more depth about the 6 wisdom areas of the body. And it goes in much more into my journey and what drew me to it and how I work with things more clearly and cleanly, step by step by step by step. So there's a lot of really good information there in those chapters on all of that. And there are audio downloads that go with each one of those chapters on the different wisdom areas of the body. So you get to practice it yourself as you're paying more attention to the wisdom of your heart, to the wisdom of your bones, to the wisdom of your gut or your pelvis. Yeah.
Great. Well, it's a great extra reason to sign up right away. That's the audiobook by Suzanne called Reclaiming the Wisdom of Your Body. So there's more detail on all these things on the page at wisdomoftheBodycourse.com. We've kept the investment for this program very accessible for you. It's just 3 payments of $128, or you save 10% when you pay in full with 1 payment of $349. The course is going to begin October 22nd, run Tuesdays at 1 Pacific, 4 Eastern. But even if you can't make the live times, you can still get the full value with recordings, the transcripts, and the community as well. And I also want to just draw your attention to some of the testimonials that people have offered for Suzanne's work. Suzanne is a brilliant teacher, offers a powerful approach to healing on all levels. That's Shakti Gawain, the legendary author. There's Tara Brock says, draws on her decades of work facilitating profound transformation in people suffering from a range of physical and emotional disease. Knowledge and experience create trust. The exercises were deeply moving. A lot of great testimonials from people whose lives have been bettered or touched or moved in some way by Suzanne's work. So she's very seasoned and she's taught for many years and has really developed a very coherent body of work that's drawing from the body's wisdom, the latest frontier science, understandings of meditation. All of those things come together in a very practical way to help you live a more embodied, relaxed, and purposeful life. So you're in really good hands. And again, it's all at wisdomofthebodycourse.com. So Suzanne, we're just nearing the end of our time together. Anything that's still on your heart you want to share with folks who are considering going into the full program with you of creating your inner sanctuary for somatic healing?
You know, one of the things that has been my reason to get out of bed in the morning, it's been my driving force in my life, is what occurs when I see other people lighting up and opening up and living more fully and deeply. And when I hear from students years later, oh my God, that time we spent together shifted everything. I'm not so blown around by what's going on in my life now. And I'm able to choose and be who I am. And for me, in order to teach people that, I have to do those practices with you. And I do. And so it takes me deeper into my own journey as well. So there's a self-interest, and then there's also the deep inspiration in my heart for bringing this information forward in the world. And when I wrote my very first book, I had a phrase in there that went something like this, that the survival of our species depends on us learning how to embody deeply and acting in integrity with all of who we are, from a heartful place, from a soulful place in the world today. And I still believe that very, very deeply. And in fact, it feels more urgent and more important today than it did back in the early 2000s when I was writing my first book.
Mm.
So please join me. Please join me. This has really been lovely, Stephen. I've had a lot of fun once again playing with you and talking with you about all of this that I do and that I share with the world.
Wonderful. Well, Suzanne, you are just a blessing for all of us. Thank you for that deeper intention of this program and all your work to really have us have that deep level of embodiment that allows us to create a beautiful world. So if you'd like to go further with Suzanne, you're warmly welcome to do so. And all the details at wisdomofthebodycourse.com. And the title is Creating Your Inner Sanctuary for Somatic Healing, Embodiment Techniques for Cultivating Harmony, Fulfillment, and Grounded Wisdom. And you'll get that special bonus if you sign up by midnight, which is Reclaiming the Wisdom of Your Body audiobook. So thank you so much, Suzanne, and thank you all for joining. Many
Thank
blessings.
you, Stephen. Thank you. Look forward to seeing you all there.